Hello and welcome for a match review of Street Fighter V. Today we're gonna follow RyouBakura, a Vega player in Ultra Bronze, and we will not try to nitpick about every little decision he make, and we'll more try to find the general theme of something he can improve and work on. So let's begin. So what we're gonna see here is that RyouBakura in some of the parts of the match will try to avoid actually fighting, actually playing the footsie game. And he will do that simply by uh, staying as far as possible he can from his opponent. This this time it will be Urian, and we'll see what's the problem with it and what's usually why it's not usually a good idea. Alright, so here in the second round, after the loss of a super loss, which is kinda disheartening loss, we'll see that RyouBakura is taking a decision. He's making a decision right here. At this moment, Uren is jumping back, and look how far he is from RyouBakura, right? He's literally all the way from here. And if we remember correctly, most of the previous match, the distance between them were something like that. Um, so, and we need to remember that most of the match he was quite okay before he lost to that super, which is something that happened. But here, let's consider what are his options. What are Vega's options at this distance? Um, well, he can walk forward, and he can basically do a wall dive, um, which is quite uh, quite not enough options if we think about it. While he if he stand right here, all right. So here it is, having his glow. He can use his down medium punch. He can use his standing medium punch. Right. This is the angle. He can try to jump over him. He's got a lot of options. He will even can try to slide. Not saying it's the best option, but he can try to do that. And he can also, as usual, block and move forward and backward. So a lot of options. While when he's standing here, he can usually just wall dive. So having more options is generally better, as the opponents cannot always be ready for everything. But in this case, he chooses to uh, do the wall dive. This time it will hit. And now he can start his offense. And let's see that when he is on the offense, he's quite confident. He can fight. And this is something that really happens to a lot of players when they are getting too focused on what the opponents can do to them. In this case, we can actually see that the Urian is getting quite a good convert from just a normal hit into the V-trigger. And here, watch closely. Again, he got the throw off. He was at advantage, a life advantage, V-trigger advantage. Let's circle everything. He got the life advantage. He got the V-trigger advantage and the matter advantage. And having all these advantage, he chose to jump back and fight from even farther away, and hoping that the match will be handed to him. Now, of course, when you are in advantage position, you want to play generally safer. You wouldn't like to risk a lot. You would like to be more conservative, but it's not usually more safe to give up the initiative. And we're gonna see that this wall dive tactics is not going to work forever. And in this case, this is quite good example for what's having not enough options can do to your game. Again, the Urian saw that he's in the other side of the screen. He knew that there is not much he can do beside from wall diving. And this time he was ready, punished accordingly. Um, Again, it seems that the RyouBakura is now a bit uh, afraid or a bit concerned about approaching Urian, especially when he in his super armor mode, and he's really looking for some kind of all-in to hit without actually putting himself in risk, without actually losing. He's really afraid at this point to lose, but you cannot get a win usually by being afraid to lose. You usually need to to take action to be more active and actually make more attacks in order to do so, meaning taking the initiative. All right, let's jump right into the second round. And we can see that this is the main theme that will keep going in the match. Uh, Nice thing to see is that actually when he got the claw on, he's really courageous. He's really fighting at a good range, and he's really forcing the issue and not letting Urian get away with a lot. A small thing that we can see here is that here uh, he used a standing low kick as a defensive tool. And usually when you use this as a defensive tool, which is a gamble, but it's a good gamble. You have to take those quite a lot in this game, and usually it will be a counter. So after standing low kick, hitting in counter, and this is correct for most of the jabs of the small attacks. They connect to a medium attack. In Vega case, it's usually best to connect to uh, down medium punch, and this is something that usually you need to bank on. Like if we already did the standing low kick attack, might as well finish it and just confirm it will hit. And if you got the hit, just assume it will be countered. Try to connect to the medium punch. It usually is the correct case. So we can see that again another wake up super from Urian. Uh, Again, it happens. No need to be concerned about it. What is important that is really, as we can see, is fighting at good range and not trying to do some kind of all-in attacks from the other side of the screen. And yeah, it is a danger where we can get hit by that, but really we have to play. We cannot just stay on the other side of the match and not play. Just like this kind of all-in attack where he used the rose and actually got himself into quite dangerous situation, but luckily his sweep connected. But it could just as well been over to the other side. And we can now see the conclusion of the match between them, and we can keep seeing that every time he is fighting close, he will get good good results from his attacks, and when you get a bit farther, it gets a bit less efficient. And see that actually when he is cornered, he's really using his tools correctly. He's using the good medium attacks of Vega. He's really fighting for his position. While when he got a screen to give, when he got the time to walk away, he really does that and really not gaining match. But we can see that actually, let's take a look on that again. We can see that actually his neutral game is quite decent, right? He stand here, he tried to poke with down medium punch. He, he recognized that Urian is jumping, and he react to it with the correct anti-air, which is not a small feat with Vega. Vega has quite hard anti-air game, and usually jumping with medium kick is the best option. And he's actually reacting good, so he has no trouble to fight at that range, which is really good for him. Again, he's getting himself in a bit of a bad situation with the roads all in, and again a bit afraid to fight and trying to keep his range and just eventually to get hit uh, by that fireball. But again, this is something that happens. And again, with meta advantage, you will try to fight, but again, the Uran is ready, and even this Uran is actually doesn't do the best solution for wall dive. Wall dive is quite predictable move and with quite predictable angle, so it's really quite easy to punish it for by any player who is ready for it, or even not ready for it, just knows what's the properties of the move. And we what the main thing we need to consider here is that yes, it is scary. Yeah? We fight Urian with V-Trigger. Every hit can get a big combo, but we have to play. If we don't play, uh, we just cannot win reliably without banking on the opponent's mistake. And I want now to take a look a bit about another Vega game against Urian. This time we look at Nemo, the best Vega in the world probably. And this is from the channel Fight Club TV, which I found quite fast for looking for that matchup. And here Nemo will do a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of great setups, block strings, a lot of traps. He'll do a lot of crazy stuff here. But we need to focus just one thing. We need to observe one thing. Where does he fight? Right. So again, Urian is the same Urian, just as scary with his tools, and Vega is the same Vega, access to the same tools. And again, let's think of just one thing. We even use the same close distance. No, let's use the green one. Let's remember the distance. And we'll see that all right, sorry. This is pretty much the distance that Nemo would want to fight. And throughout all the match, or at least this distance, of course, closer is better for each player at the correct stance. And again, it does a lot of things, but just focus on one thing. What distance you choose to fight on. And we can see here that, uh, well, after he's getting into that kind of situation, yes, and he knows that Urian is close to his V-trigger. He's got a lot of matters, a lot of options to do damage. And after he's so far away, there is one thing he chooses to do. And we can already guess what, and he's just pushing forward again, trying to keep fighting at the distance where he has the most options. So the main thing I want to take out of this match, uh, or at least about uh, of this review, is that usually you have to play. There is no point in avoid playing by keeping full screen away. Even those characters that got projectiles like Ryu or Ken or even Nash and Guile has no point of maintaining that full screen distance where they don't have enough options to threaten the opponent. So really just calmly keep your preferred distance, a distance where you can be effective, and really don't be afraid to engage uh, the opponent's character. I hope this helps. I hope you learned something, and until the next time, goodbye.